might already know that NASA is one of the greatest intelligence apparatuses ever created. It was specifically designed after the U.S. military realized in the 1940s and 1950s, after a series of massive experiments, they realized the perimeters of our world. They knew exactly what altitude they can go before FUBAR. They knew exactly how far out in the perimeter they could go before they could go no further. They figured everything out. By 1957, everything was known about the perimeters of our world, so NASA started building down. And they got congressional funding for it. This is why all those gigantic thermite drill tractors that are huge, shaped like a cylinder that melt through bedrock and create tunnels. That's why when you look at the fuselage, every single one of them say U.S. Air Force. Just like Space Force. They're not doing anything in space. It's the net space. They're controlling the narrative through the internet and through global media. Or, excuse me, I don't want to trigger anybody, worldwide media. That's what Space Force is. It has nothing to do with anything above the atmosphere. So, here it is. Robert Bovell in the Orion Mystery. John Anthony West in Serpent in the Sky. Rand Flimath, When the Sky Fell. David Roll, A Test of Time. Colin Wilson from Atlantis to the Sphinx. I just showed you that one. Christopher.
It's a really hard pill to take when somebody says that satellites could be fake. But don't you find it a little suspicious that you can't find any real satellite pictures? It might be hard to be believed, but maybe we're all being deceived. Yeah, maybe, Listen up. Well, if you think you see one up in the sky, you can't see it with the naked eye, because a satellite is about the size of a car, at least 300 miles away. You can't see that far. Whatever those dots are to move in the night, I'm telling you there ain't no satellite. Welcome to the satellite folks. Just another one of them NASA jokes. You can't buy me a picture of a satellite without bringing up a bunch of that CGI. Just a bunch of cartoons all over the place. When I search satellites in space, yeah, type that phrase into Google, folks. But let me welcome you to the satellite host.
I will continue the battle. I will continue the fight, because no matter whatever weapons and armies and battles that come up, all you got to do is be as strong as they are. You're immortal. You're infinite. So guess what? There's nothing they can do that you can't counter.
Like Jason says, like, fear makes you a participant
Well,
in
I don't
something
know.
like collective.
I don't believe everything Jason says. To me, he's one of those guys that's like ahead in some areas, just like me, just like myself. I'm ahead in some areas and I'm behind in others. He's behind me and you in terms of, I think, actual like ascension, like actual level of, I don't know what you want to call it, but like nirvana.
He will fall for stuff that we wouldn't, like, I think.
Right.
He will fall for people like that wish him ill, that we perhaps wouldn't.
So you can see that, right? Some of the things that he says. He's a little naive on some things, and he will learn it eventually. I'm not worried about him. He's on the right path.
Yeah.
He'll get there. It's just like me. I'm behind on some other things that he's like, shown me on.
Yeah.
But here's the deal. I'm open. I'm not a closed book. I am an open book.
Yeah. Am I psychic? Am I a psychic? I could try. I could try to be. I mean, people do that. What? Do you guys think that there's real psychics in the world? Weird question. Do you think there's real psychics? And if you guys do, when do you think they learn that they are? Like, how do they figure it out? I don't know. Puberty? Are any of you guys psychics? Can you guesstimate what's going to happen 12 hours from now? I saw your debut 5 years before it happened. Wow, that's crazy. Glover too?
Yeah, what people perceive me as is not who I really am. You know, people perceive me as this kind of like strange, autistic kind of nerd, unemployed, neat man. But that's just a role that I'm playing, that I'm cast into at this time, occasion. That's not, but also, people only, like even right now, people only perceive me. Normally, people tend to perceive me in one or two kind of ways, I guess. They don't really perceive deeper than that. They tend to respect people that they can get something from. Basically, like material wealth, someone that has a lot of material wealth and is respected by others, that's who they look to. They don't really look deeper than that, you know. They don't really care that much about basic things like, oh, this person isn't overweight, or this person looks okay. Well, I mean, they do, but like that's not really the ultimate thing that they judge you by, you know. You could be healthy and thin, and relatively attractive, but like people will kind of ignore you if you don't seem to be like going anywhere within the matrix kind of thing. And this is kind of what I found when I was like in my 20s, like when I was physically healthy and I looked much more attractive. When I didn't really get much attention from like young women that were about my age. Well, for one thing, there wasn't very many. My town was very quiet. Before 2013, when they started opening new build houses around 2012, 2013, the huge new build estate across the road there called Lace Hill didn't start construction till about 2013 or 14, and it opened around 2014 or 15. People started moving in there. Before that, this town was very quiet, but yeah, I felt like I didn't get much. I didn't really have many interactions, even just passing interest or just passing looks, exchanging glances, like at that time. So, I mean, that's one reason why I don't chase women at all, like, because I've gotten used to this isolated lifestyle. I also at that time I didn't really have many friends either, like male friends in this town. Like, it was very hard to meet anyone, and the only person I hang out with was like my cousin or my grandparents or my younger cousins, things like that. This was after I came back from university, where I wasn't as social as other people either. My brother's just gone in the kitchen and he's like, I think he's starting to cook. He's making a bunch of noise. Yeah, I hate the distraction that other people bring to me, especially normies. You know, I was most happy when I was down in my summer house, but I had to abandon it in sort of late 2018, basically, because the mold levels got too high for my body to handle when it rained a bunch. Before that, it didn't seem too bad for the mold, but about 2011 I started using that as my main room in the daytime that I would go to, and then I slept in the room upstairs up there. So, and then it's about 5 years, and then I became ill in 2015, September 2015, and then there was a period where I didn't use it as much, and then I used it for about 2 years again, and then after that I stopped using it. So it was a good period of about 6 years, I would guess, 6 or 7 years that I used it for. And then it was sort of transitioned into this was my main room after that, and also the room upstairs for a couple of years. But yeah, most people have a very hard time accepting, like, in their minds that they are like a slave, and the government is trying to get rid of us slowly, like death by 1,000 cuts. You know, importing people who are more likely to stab you, putting weak poisons in the various types in the food and water and things. The air is very polluted as well in various ways. Yeah, and also the electromagnetic issues. It's a tough world right now, and also the way that they prey on us economically, siphon off our wealth and create economic crises, taxes that control. Like in Deus Ex, he said, like, this can be done imperceptibly with taxes over time, like transferring power from individuals to corporations. All that stuff in Deus Ex is very true, very good, very good. But yeah, so this town is kind of reaching peak urbanization right now, and when I really noticed it like a couple of days ago when I went to the supermarket, and I went after dark, so it was like, I don't know, 7 p.m. maybe. There shouldn't have been that many people around, because I don't know, it's winter time. It's not very good weather. It was kind of like getting on. I just wanted to grab a few things. There were so many children. Around. Children with parents and just all kind of people. And there was a pretty girl. She's kind of a big girl. She was looked about early 20s. Very sort of extravagant, luxurious clothing, and there was something kind of different about her. She had a different air, so like she wasn't really in a hurry. She seemed more perceptive, kind of like powerful, like she kind of knew what she wanted, kind of thing. She had like kind of luxurious, unique looking clothes on. She did have a mobile phone, but she noticed that I was watching her holding the mobile phone and just looking at her in general. She actually noticed, which again is like unusual. I wasn't right near her, I was a good distance away. It gets to the point where there's so many people around you, you can't like actively keep an eye on everyone and kind of like suss out like what type of person is this over there that's walking past me. It gets to the point where there's so many people that you can't do that, and I really don't like that. I really feel uncomfortable with that kind of situation.
オーストラリアに家を建てたんだ。白くて綺麗なとても静かな家。だけどオーストラリアに行くには飛行機に乗らなくちゃいけないんだ。でも C2 を飛行機に持ち込むにはちょっと大きすぎる。だからさ、コンパクトにしてあげる。これならあっという間だよ。
他人の声が邪魔にならない場所。おのずと位置は絞り込まれるが、
ルルーシュ。
お前のギアスの有効範囲は最大500メートル。この東京タワーまでは届かない。
確かに確かに。でもね、それでどうするつもり？いろいろとハッキングして頑張っちゃったみたいだけど、他のおもちゃも遠隔操作して僕を襲わせるのかな？それともその達者な口で僕を言いまかすの？まあ、
お前に負ける。
何言ってるんだ。もういい。僕は C2 と。ルルーシュか。でも距離が。それね。いっぱい。そこまでだ。時を捨て投降せよ。なんだよあいつら。誘拐犯に告げる。武器を捨て投降せよ。警察。誰だ通報したのは。
ルルーシュ、なぜここに？
嘘だ。だってさっきまでタワーにいたじゃないか。
お前バカか。録画だよ、今までの。
嘘だ。だって喋ってたじゃないか、僕と。
お前の思考はシンプルすぎる。心を読めるのが穴になった。
僕の答えまで予想できたってのか。ふざけんな、転がき。警察に捕まってもな、すぐ出てきてやる。何言ってるんですよ。狂ったじゃんかよ。
通報通り運転中だった。
うるさい。僕の悪口を言うな。
C2 が教えてくれたよ。お前はギアスをオフにできない。しかし有効範囲は集中力次第。
僕の気をそらすためにモニターを使った。でもな、僕にはまだお前に勝つ方法があるんだよ。
それをやった時にお前の最後だ。
待ってくれルルーシュ、ちゃんと話せば。
何が最後だ。ポリスども、よく聞け。そこにいる奴がテロリストだ。撃て。
契約した時、マオはたった6歳で孤児だった。
But yeah, they've got like, so if I say there's a secret new build site. It's quite big, behind the industrial estate, near the police station. It's behind. You have to go through the industrial estate to get there, so it's kind of well hidden on the edge of town. I found that this year, a few months ago. There's another one I found a couple of weeks ago, and it's hidden behind an existing new build estate. So you have to go through this new build estate to get to where they've just created this thing. And I could tell because they put up signs for the lorries. That's right near my cousin's house. They're still finishing the one. They still haven't finished the huge estate where my brother's children live, that they started building around 2017, 2018 they started building that. And then they've just done a little one at Maid's Morton on the other edge of town as you go into Old Akeley, and there's like 10 posh houses or something. But on the other road out of Maid's Morton, which is the quietest road out of town, it's like the only country road left out of town that's actually like a proper country road, how they used to be. Well, right next to there, they're planning to build 400 new houses, so that road is probably be fucked up as well. And it's already changing the way, because a lot of the people from the new builds near my cousin's house walk up there and they walk along there. So it's already kind of changed, but it's okay because there's not that many cars. But yeah, we're really reaching like peak urbanization now. It's crazy, you know. There's probably three times more people. There's probably 3 times more people in the park in the summertime than what there was 10 years ago. Like, I'm not kidding. There's probably 3 times more people in Bourton Park, which is just down the hill from me. So what the real objective is of all this urbanization is when the next cataclysm comes in 2040, in the post-apocalyptic world that will be created, the people who have become urbanized and stuck in these sort of mini cities, this kind of perma-suburban environment, these people will be completely like useless in terms of survival, because they're used to like Uber, DoorDash, Pizza Hut, McDonald's, and you know, like soy food and vegan food, and like they have no connection to creation of food, like real food. It's all through like corporations and shit, and takeaways, and guys on e-bikes like delivering stuff, and or supermarkets, hyper processed food from supermarkets. And it's just, yeah, they don't have those traditional English values, European values, and that's probably partly why the government has been trying to stamp out like traditionalism, basically. Yeah, they don't want too many people to survive the Phoenix when it hits, and the carnage afterwards, because at a certain point, maybe, I don't know, like 10 years later, they're going to come out of their bunkers, right? So they don't want too many people still alive, because the people who are still alive in the post-apocalypse will be ruling the world now, ruling the surface world. So when these elites with their robots and their high technology shit come out of their bunkers, they want the people left on the surface to be as few and as weak as possible. That's basically why they're trying to, that's part of why they're trying to depopulate, and just, it's not just depopulation, because the UK's population is getting higher, but they're trying to basically weaken the strong people. They're trying to weaken the true European people, so that they're not a threat. They're not going to be a threat in the future. Do you see what I mean? That's the true agenda. and all this like climate change stuff, like the vision of the future that they're pushing, like AI and robots and VR and nanotechnology and all kind of shit, that's not gonna happen. Like it's never gonna get to that point. It's all gonna get wiped out before that happens. So it's basically a myth that they're pushing, and they're pushing it so that people will sort of facilitate like changes that they wouldn't normally do, like climate change, which doesn't exist. Global warming doesn't exist. The sea levels have not risen, and also the oil wells have not been drained, because the oil isn't dinosaur juice. The oil comes from the earth itself in some fashion. You can think of it as like the blood of the earth. The oil doesn't come from the dinosaurs. Like, the dinosaurs didn't all die in one place. So that's why they're trying to get rid of gasoline cars and motorbikes and things like that, because they know that those will be more useful in post-apocalypse. All these electric cars and high-tech shit will be instantly destroyed when the Phoenix hits, because it will destroy all like electronics. The EMP will be so powerful, something like this, something about it. Like I think it's partly it's an electrical phenomenon, and yeah, it's these electric cars and stuff will be junk. You won't be able to charge them either, because basically when it hits, it puts all this dust up into the air, and the dust blocks out the sun. So the solar panels are not. Firstly, they'll all be smashed and covered in red dust, but they also they won't function because the sun will be blocked out by the volcanic dust and the Phoenix dust that's in the air. It will be all blocked out. There won't really be much wind. And also Jason says at a certain point, I don't know if it's straight after then, it might be after the Nemesis X, like my memory's not good enough to remember exactly, but at a certain point the vapor canopy will return. The vapor canopy is kind of like a mist that covers the entire world, and it becomes this like gloomy, misty place. But also like the air pressure increases or something, the oxygen increases, and that's where like giant people come from, because the things grow faster in this like irradiated oxygen rich, like high pressure, like. So this is basically where if you've seen Fate's Day Night, right, if you've read Fate's Day Night, Hercules Heracles is Berserker is immune. He's immune to weak damage, like Rin's Gander shot. Rin's Gander shot, which has the power of a revolver bullet, cannot harm him. Emiya's arrows can't harm him. He can only be harmed by like Excalibur, like being stabbed with Excalibur, or some of the weapons that Shiro Trace projects, or he can be harmed by noble phantasms. But he has 9 lives. He has to be killed 9 times before he will actually die. The 9 neighbours of Hercules. And this is because the giants came from the vapor canopy, and what Jason says is they had supernatural like regeneration abilities, which is exactly what you see in Fate's Day Night.
I got a whole book. I don't know if my mods can find it, but I have a book that's unpublished called King of the Giants, mighty hunter of world mythology. That's what we're talking about right now. I wrote this book 20 years ago. It's a PDF download. It's all about the life and history of Gilgamesh, of Nimrod. So the ancient 4 royal stars were used in the solar hero epics like Gilgamesh, who usurped the power of the stars. He usurped the power of the shepherds as he became the hunter, the mighty hunter before the Lord, who took down the old goddess cultures in first conquering the bull and then the lion. Both the bull with its horns and the lion are goddess symbols. I have 4 or 5 videos on the goddess where I show that the bull was an ancient goddess symbol. Dancing over the bull was done in recognition of the goddess. It was done at Knossos. It was done at Catalhuyuk, outside Göbekli Tepe. So this is why you see all those statues of the goddess between 2 lions, or the goddess and the bull. The bull's horns were symbolic of the moon's horns. This is why the bull was a lunar symbol. Now, the goddess was always protected by 2 lions. In ancient America, it was the goddess protected between 2 pumas. It's the same thing. As time progressed, the mythos advanced, and the Gilgamesh story, later Hercules, it adopted new star patterns to describe the sun god's conquering of the 4 royal stars, or foundation of heaven. This hunter was a mighty archer. You know where that came from? He had a twin named Enkidu, origin of Sagittarius and Gemini. Now, his new solar travel concerned day and night, and this is where the balance came from, later called Libra. The scales concern the system that was diurnal, the old Shar system of day and night. Remember, the evening and the morning was the first day. The sun separated the day from the night. So instead of the old stellar reckoning and moon count systems that were only observed at night, the solar hero wore a goat skin. It's famous. It's in all Greek mythology. The goat skin was worn by Zeus. It's called the Aegis. It gave him protection on his journey. It was given to him at a very young age. Aries is the goat skin. It is the goat. It is the first of the zodiacal houses. It is the beginning of Gilgamesh's journey. Gilgamesh fell in love with the goddess. That's a Virgo, and he had to bypass guardians. These are scorpions, to get his reward. What was his reward? Gilgamesh was a man of the world. Therefore, he reaped only what the world could convey to him. He got the cornucopia, all the good things of the world. The cornucopia is the reward of the man of the world who chases the things of the world. The end of the zodiac is also the beginning, represented by 2 signs. Archaics veterans, get ready for this. The 2 signs are Aquarius and Pisces, both representing floods. The entire epic of Gilgamesh, the appearance of the sun and his journey, occurred between 2 floods. The great flood of Noah in 2239 BC, caused by Typhon, the phoenix, and the Ogygian deluge in 1687 BC, caused by the return of the phoenix. The entire solar mythos originating between these 2 events after the collapse of the vapor canopy. Many like to claim that Greek mythology was modeled after the zodiac, but there's no hint of a zodiac in these stories. Instead, the zodiac was modeled after the old sun-worshipping cult that gave rise to the symbols that later found their way in the zodiac. And Ptolemy was the first to provide us a zodiac canon. He named the individual signs. Nothing old here. Circling the square of heaven was the replacing of the foundation of heaven, the immortal souls into the ring of animals. I'm going to repeat that. Christianity and the makers of the zodiac took the 4 royal stars of heaven, the foundation of heaven, which is what the immortal soul. Remember, every soul is a stone in the monument of man. When the number of the souls is complete and the building is complete, then the chief cornerstone can descend on the monument of man, and the Exodus will be complete. This is the message of the pyramid. This powerful message of Exodus from this world to where we're supposed to be is why all these civilizations left us a bunch of pyramids everywhere and not a single zodiac. That's why.
Jason also talks a lot about, in his Zodiac video recently, he talks a lot about Gilgamesh. And Gilgamesh and the cornucopia, I think it was, which represents like all things in the world. So Gilgamesh in Fate, he owned like all of the things in the world, all of the treasures of the earth. And Jason was basically talking about that kind of thing. It's very interesting. But yeah, this is why it's going so high tech and urbanized, because it makes people useless. It makes them physically unhealthy, socially, culturally unhealthy. It also creates division. So one thing they're trying to do is create a negativity in society, because the Phoenix weapon itself is intelligent. It can selectively target, to some extent, different groups of people. Basically, he said, so when Sodom and Gomorrah was destroyed, they said, find me like one good person in this city and I will not destroy the city. And so he found, like, I think it's like the guy was called Lot. So Lot and his family left the city, and then the city was destroyed by God, right? But his wife still resonated on the frequency of the city, but he didn't. His wife turns around and looks, and she is also like killed or turned to stone or something, right? Or vaporized. So that's basically what happens. That's why they're trying to put everyone into this low vibrational state, to make them angry and confused and hostile and stressed. That's partly why they're doing all this crazy shit, right? Like clown world shit. The other thing is, they know that in the post-apocalypse, people will balkanize, and people are tribalistic. They will balkanize along ethnic lines. So if you have multiculturalism, you're creating a situation where these groups will wipe each other out. And that's part of trying to ensure that there's as little power on the surface world as possible. Yeah, it's not going to be good. It's not going to be a good time after 2040. I personally don't expect to survive very long. I'd like to survive until the end, to see the end of this civilization. But I don't expect to survive either the event itself or the weeks or months afterwards. And I don't know if I'd want to, you know. Kind of used to this kind of existence, you know, as things were in like the 20th century, you know, late 20th century. So if you think that the elites, like the actual rulers, not the politicians that you see, if you think the actual rulers care about multiracialism and like the plight of foreign people. Like, no, you're sorely mistaken. All of this stuff is just a ruse, just like the technology is just a ruse, you know. They see, like, they may not even see themselves as Europeans, you know. I don't know what exactly they are, but they don't see Europeans as like part of their family, you know. They see us as slaves as much as they do these the other races. So yeah, I printed out some pictures. Well, I didn't draw this one, but I made it with AI like last year with Stable Diffusion. But it was my sketch. This part is still my sketch, look. But it's the AI has converted my drawing into this, which took quite a lot of effort at the time. This was like last year, when before I started using novel AI, which is a bit easier. And then this one as well. I did draw this one, but I didn't create this manga, but I edited it because I didn't like the way he'd drawn her, so I redrew it. So I drew like all of this, every one of this character on this page. I redrew her. I didn't draw her, I didn't draw them, just these three.